Hi, Adam from the Brisbane Channel here, keeping you up to date with the 35th weekly Greater Brisbane update. This week we've got everything from birds on the warpath to updates on housing and the rental situation in Brisbane. This video is sponsored by Glass Now. From schools to shops to family homes, Glass Now are the trusted name for installing and repairing strong, safe glass. It's also sponsored by the Exotics Vet, and they're offering a discount that I'll tell you about later in the video. But let's get to the updates. It's that time of year again, the season of swooping birds, and it's not just magpies. People and their pets may also find themselves targeted by plovers, noisy miners, butcherbirds, and peewees, among others. It's generally the males protecting their nests during breeding season between July and December, and in the case of magpies, only about 10% actually swoop. If you do get swooped, some tips are to not wave your arms, run, or throw things at them, as this just makes you seem like more of a threat. And as they've been shown to recognize individual people, the more you can do to stay on their good side, the better it will be for you. They tend to target faster moving people, so if you ride or run through an area that is known to have a swooping bird, you're best to slow down as you move through the area. There's also an online map to help you identify where people have been swooped. I used it for this video, so maybe check that out later. I think it's a fun little video, and I'll link it to the end of this update as well. I've also put a link to the Magpie Alert website in the video description. Locals have various ways of dealing with aggressive swoopers, so if you've got any tips that have worked for you, do share them in the comments below. A report recently released by real estate consultancy firm CBRE has highlighted the need for more supply of residential rentals in Brisbane. In what would come as no surprise to anyone, the report identified the unprecedented growth in demand, with supply not keeping up with it. Brisbane's metropolitan vacancy rate has been at or below 1.5% since 2021 and was 0.9% as at March this year. There are about 5,600 units and townhouses projected to be completed this year, which is higher than the average of 3,500 per year in the 5 years to 2024, but the researchers pointed out that the figure for this year was inflated by project delays that pushed some projected completions from 2024 into this year. For some context, the average number of completions at the peak in 2016 and 2017 was about 12,500 units and townhouses. The report projected rents to increase by an additional 24% over the next 5 years across Australia's state capitals, and expects Brisbane's vacancy rate to fall to just 0.7% over the next 3 years. The latest figures from Cotality that outline changes in rental and property values show that in August, Brisbane's rental rates had increased by 5.3% since the same time last year. But some good news for people trying to transition to home ownership for the first time is that from October the 1st, there will be changes to the federal government's First Home Guarantee Scheme, which allows people to borrow for a home with a 5% deposit without needing to pay lenders' mortgage insurance. They've increased the cap on property values that are eligible and also removed income caps for applicants. Until the changes come into effect, the cap on property values is below both the median house and unit price for Brisbane. After the changes, it will still be below the median price for houses, but well above the median price for units. This will increase the portion of homes able to be purchased under the scheme to just under 45% of houses and almost all units across Brisbane. Brisbane's home prices are once again the highest they've ever been. In August, they were 7.9% higher than the same time a year before. A quick break to tell you about the 15% discount being offered by our sponsor, the Exotics Vet, an independently owned and operated vet practice in Redcliffe. With a fully equipped hospital, they can do blood tests, ultrasound, radiographs, endoscopies and surgical procedures for your pet, and they'll treat pretty much everything except cats, dogs and livestock. Far too many for me to list in this short promo. They also offer routine procedures like desexing and microchipping. The dedicated team have over 30 years experience in exotics veterinary practice between them, and they're offering 15% off consultation fees for clients who mention this video. Click this QR code or the link in the video description to find out more. Back to the updates, and installation of new decking on the Storybridge footpath is running ahead of schedule, with more than half of the 300 metres of decking already installed. The $5 million business case that will outline the full restoration of the Storybridge will be completed next year. Of course, we'll keep you updated here on the Brisbane Channel. The Brisbane Metro bus network has secured Queensland's highest ever sustainability rating after the Infrastructure Sustainability Council gave it a score of 82.86, putting the network in the category of leading. Aspects of the project noted in the assessment include the transformation of Victoria Bridge into a dedicated public and active transport bridge, the innovative Adelaide Street tunnel design that preserved surface-level transport corridors and existing trees, and changes made to the design of the network that led to a 77% reduction in embodied carbon. Embodied carbon is the total of all greenhouse gas emissions generated over the full life cycle of a building or infrastructure asset. As mentioned in the last update, the Adelaide Street Tunnel will open to buses on the 29th of this month. That's when the full impact of changes the Metro bus network bring to the city will become clear and measurable. Of course, it will also be when we can see if the network changes are bringing positive changes to the rest of the bus network as well. While we're talking transport, let's briefly mention the public transport situation around Riverfire last weekend, particularly after the event as people tried to make their way home. For the trains, Queensland Rail scheduled 50 extra trains for the event, which is close to double the number of extra services last year, and increased the time the trains stood at the platform in central locations to allow for more people to board the trains. And 600 extra bus services were requested by TransLink compared to the 2024 event. However, none of these measures were able to ensure a smooth and easy experience for people returning home after the fireworks show. There were reports of lengthy delays and people fearing crowd crushes as hundreds of thousands of people scrambled to get onto buses and trains. The traffic chaos has led to some questioning Brisbane's capacity to deal with the influx of visitors moving around the city when we host the Olympics in less than 7 years' time. What do you think? Will we be able to learn from these events and improve things, or will the Olympics be a cluster cluck? Duck? No, that's not it. Anyway, a final transport-related update is that artist impressions of the new overpasses that have been proposed to replace level crossings in Bethania and Currabee, both in Logan, have been released. Here's Bethania, where the station may be built elevated above ground level, meaning there's no need for a road-over-rail bridge. And here's Currabee's road-over-rail plans. These updates are only possible through the generosity and support of people who buy me a coffee, or also through people who become channel members, and I try to give a little something back to them through the various perks that are available, and you can find out about them up here. Thanks to these members for their continued support. With the Brisbane River, an iconic symbol of Brisbane that is an essential part of the city's identity, Council have announced that they plan to boost local river-based businesses by opening up the 8 river and recreation hubs that dot the banks of the river to tourism and hospitality businesses. They'll be undertaking a review into how the facilities can best support Brisbane's hospitality and tourism businesses. But this comes as one business operating from the Botanic Gardens River Hub, Jet Ski Tours Brisbane, has been evicted by Council from one such recreation hub. The business, which has a 4.9 star rating and is listed as the #1 boat tour and water sports activity in Brisbane on TripAdvisor, is listed as being based at the River Hub on the state government's tourism website, queensland.com. However, Brisbane City Council has issued the business nearly $2,000 in fines and given the operator 10 business days to leave, saying that commercial businesses aren't allowed to operate from the recreation hub. So on one hand, Council is booting a business from a recreation hub, and on the other hand, saying they're investigating facilitating the very same kind of operations from river hubs. It seems a bit of a mess, but one thing I should point out is that it's state government that has jurisdiction when it comes to river activities, so anything Council allows must first be cleared with them. Just for the record, I reached out to the Prawnster, a fresh seafood restaurant that operates from the same river hub as Jet Ski Tours, to see if they've experienced the same thing as a commercial operator. But at the time of recording this video, I've not had any response from them. We recently featured the announcement of a new transit lounge at Ipswich Hospital, but this week, a quick update that joining that one, Logan Hospital and Redland Hospital will each also be seeing their transit lounges expanded as well. The expansions won't be massive, with just 27 new beds and 30 new treatment chairs spread across 7 hospitals statewide, including the 3 in Greater Brisbane. But these are in addition to other expansions, as we mentioned in the video on where the state government will be allocating their funding over the next year. And any additions to help take some strain off the health system are definitely welcome. While some of the expansions will be completed this year, most are scheduled for completion in 2026. Redlands residents are encouraged to help keep track of koalas as a new interactive Koala Watch dashboard has been launched on the Redlands Coast Koala Watch online platform, which went live in 2020. Redlands Mayor Joss Mitchell says that community members can use Koala Watch to report information about the appearance, condition and location of koalas in their area. Koala Watch data assists Council in identifying potential threats to koalas, such as habitat loss, vehicle strikes and disease outbreaks. Now a few quick bites, brief updates from around Greater Brisbane's LGAs. In Moreton Bay, Council have announced that 4 new or updated parks will be ready for play these next school holidays. They're found at these locations. In Logan Reserve, construction has begun on 2 new schools, a new state high school and a prep to Year 12 special school. If you're on the north side, you may be interested in attending some free mental health and personal development workshops that will be held at Chermside Library. Here's the topics for the next 4 monthly sessions, with the next one looking at that little voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, or that overthinks everything you do, and how to rewire your thoughts to support you rather than tearing you down. I've put a link to the event details in the video description. There's nothing I really want to share my 2 cents on for this week, so I'm signing off from the city that brought you the first ever cultivated macadamia tree. See ya.